All right, ready to dive into Tata Consultancy Services.
TCS? Yep.
Their 2023-24 annual report, that is. Lots to unpack here.
Oh, there is. Financial statements, customer stories, the whole works.
So our mission, should we choose to accept it?
Just to figure out what makes this IT giant tick.
Exactly. And what it all means, for the rest of us.
Absolutely. Now, annual reports, they can be a bit much.
Intimidating, right?
Yeah, but full of hidden gems.
If you know where to look.
That's where we come in. Think of us as your guides.
All right, so before we get lost in the numbers, let's set the scene. IT services, huge market, but what's the landscape like these days?
Well, there's definitely a sense of pragmatism in the air.
How so?
Global economic uncertainties, you know the drill. Supply chains, inflation.
Makes sense.
Everyone's laser focused on those profit margins.
So even though global tech spending is massive, US $2.3 trillion?
Something like that, yeah.
And IT services taking a big chunk of that.
US $1.4 trillion to be exact. Growing, too, 6.1% year on year.
But it's not just about growth at any cost anymore.
Nope. Businesses are demanding efficiency, automation, ROI.
They want to know their tech investments are working for them.
Absolutely. No more fancy features for the sake of it.
So it's a tough market. How's TCS handling all this pressure?
They're focusing on what they call mega trends.
Okay, like what?
AI, new energy, resilient supply chains, talent development.
Smart. Especially with those pandemic supply chain issues still lingering.
Oh, yeah, those, coupled with, well, global conflicts.
That I saw around.
Big time. And TCS is saying, hey, we've got solutions.
Clever. But let's get specific. AI, everyone's talking about it. What's TCS actually doing in that space?
Two-pronged approach, really.
Lay it on me.
First, they've gone all in on their AI cloud unit.
So using the cloud for AI stuff.
That's part of it, but it's more than that. Developing AI solutions specifically, WOAR the cloud.
Give me an example.
AI-powered cybersecurity platforms, intelligent automation, predictive analytics for managing cloud resources, things like that.
So they're betting big on the cloud as the foundation.
You got it. Future innovation, all built on that cloud foundation.
Makes sense. And what's the other part of their AI strategy?
This is where it gets interesting. They're tailoring AI to specific industries.
Oh, so not just a one-size-fits-all approach.
Exactly. 5 key sectors they're focused on. Banking, financial services, and insurance, that's one. Then communication, media, and tech. Consumer businesses, life sciences, and healthcare, and of course, manufacturing.
So they're becoming AI specialists for each industry. Impressive. But what kind of impact are these AI solutions actually having?
Real results, not just talk. In the report, they highlight some great success stories.
Do tell.
They helped a major bank streamline its loan processing, all with AI-powered automation.
What was the outcome?
30% reduction in processing time, and happier customers, too.
30%? That's huge. Okay, so they're walking the walk. But what about this global talent shortage everyone's facing? How's TCS handling that?
They're not just trying to hire their way out, they're upskilling their current workforce.
To what extent?
Big time. Over 300,000 employees trained on generative AI technologies.
300,000? Seriously?
Yep. They get it. AI is about people, not just tech. And they need those people to be ready.
Building their own AI army, in a way?
Something like that. But they're also attracting new talent initiatives like their youth employment program.
What's that about?
Reaching out to marginalized youth, giving them digital skills.
So they're thinking long-term, building that talent pipeline.
For sure. Okay, I think we've got a good handle on the industry and TCS's place in it, but let's zoom in on TCS itself. What's their business model? How do they actually make money?
Yeah, good point. It's one thing to talk AI and megatrends, but how does it all translate into revenue?
2 main ways. Fixed price contracts and time and materials contracts.
Fixed price, that's pretty straightforward.
Agreed. Price set up front for a specific project.
Makes sense. And time and materials.
More flexible, billed based on the actual time and resources they use.
So a mix of predictability and flexibility depending on the client.
Precisely.
And under these contracts, what kind of services are they offering?
Pretty wide range, actually. IT services, business solutions, digital transformation, you name it.
Specific examples.
Migrating to the cloud, building mobile apps, implementing those big ERP systems.
ERP, that's enterprise resource planning, right?
Yep. And even developing those AI-powered chatbots everyone's talking about.
Sounds like a one-stop shop for any company wanting to modernize, get ahead of the game.
That's the idea. And they're doing pretty well at it.
I bet. I remember reading about their brand value. Something impressive, right?
Second most valuable IT services brand globally. US $19.2 billion.
Wow, that's a lot of zeros. No wonder clients trust them.
Brand recognition goes a long way. Okay, ready for some numbers.
Hit me with them. What does their financial performance look like?
FY 2024, they pulled in 240,893 crore in revenue.
Hold on, let me write that down. That's 240,893 crore in revenue.
Not bad considering the global economic headwinds.
Right. They're weathering the storm pretty well. So revenue's looking good. But what about profitability? Are they just growing for growth's sake, or is it sustainable?
Good question. Let's look at their operating margin.
Operating margin, that's
Essentially, how much profit they're making on each rupee of revenue.
Got it. So what's the number?
24.6%.
Whoa, that's a healthy margin. They're definitely doing something right.
Definitely not just growth, it's profitable growth. Efficiency is key.
So is this growth coming from specific regions, or is it across the board?
A bit of both, actually. Emerging markets are doing particularly well.
Like where?
Latin America, India, Middle East, Africa, lots of digitalization happening there.
Makes sense. They're tapping into those high-growth markets.
Exactly, but they're not neglecting the mature markets either. North America, Europe, still seeing solid growth there.
So a balanced approach. Good for them. Now let's get back to AI for a minute. It's clearly a big part of their strategy. But how is it actually driving growth? What are they aiming for?
Multiple layers to their AI game. First, you've got that dedicated AI cloud unit, developing those cloud-specific solutions.
Right. We talked about that. AI, cybersecurity, intelligent automation, all that.
Exactly. And then there are those industry-specific AI solutions. Remember those?
Yeah. Tailored AI for banking, healthcare, manufacturing, all that.
Those are already producing results. Efficiency gains, cost reductions, happier customers.
So it's not just hype. They're turning AI into real-world benefits.
And that translates into growth for TCS. It's a smart strategy.
Totally agree. Okay, time to talk about the people behind all this. Who's steering the TCS ship?
Well, the majority stakeholder is Tata Sons Private Limited.
Tata Sons, the big Indian conglomerate.
That's the one. Long history, strong reputation for ethical business practices.
So TCS has a solid foundation, rooted in those Tata values.
Definitely a valuable asset in today's world.
Totally. Okay, but beyond Tata Sons, who are the key players on the management team?
Let's see, we've got N. Chandrasekaran as chairman, Kate Krithivasan as CEO and MD, and Samir Seksaria as CFO.
Okay, so Chandrasekaran sets the vision, Krithivasan runs the show day to day, and Seksaria keeps the financials in check.
Exactly. It's a good team.
What kind of leader is Chandrasekaran? What's his message in this annual report?
He's a realist, but also an optimist, acknowledges the challenges, but highlights TCS's achievements.
Like what?
Well, their commitment to AI, of course. New energy, sustainability, big on those two.
Those are definitely hot topics right now.
He even gives specific examples of how AI is changing industries.
Right.
Automobiles, drug development, healthcare, you name it. He sees AI as a solution to global problems.
Interesting. Not just some tech fad, but a force for good. Anything else notable about his leadership?
There's one detail in the report that really stands out.
I'm all ears.
He doesn't take a commission.
Obviously.
Company policy, apparently. But still, how many CEOs would do that?
Not many. That's for sure. Says a lot about his priorities.
Definitely puts the company and its stakeholders first.
Impressive. Okay, but let's be real. Every company faces risks. What are some potential bumps in the road for TCS?
Well, compliance is a big one. Global regulations, they're a minefield.
Especially for a multinational company operating in so many different countries.
Exactly. One wrong step, and the penalties can be huge.
Fines, legal battles, reputational damage, the whole 9 yards.
Not a pretty picture. They have to be very careful.
Absolutely. Any other risks keeping them up at night?
Intellectual property protection, that's another big one.
They're creating all these cutting-edge solutions, right?
Exactly, and they need to guard those innovations closely.
Otherwise, competitors could steal their ideas, their secret sauce.
Exactly, and that could hurt their competitive edge big time.
So external pressures like regulations and internal risks like talent attrition to worry about. How are they using their funds to handle all this and to keep growing?
Well, as we discussed, AI and cloud computing are big priorities.
Makes sense. They're going all in on those, building that talent pipeline.
And expanding their global reach, too, with that global delivery network.
So playing offense, A&D defense.
You got it. Investing in the future while addressing those potential risks.
Smart move. But we've only scratched the surface of their financials. Let's dive deeper into those numbers, see what they reveal about TCS's financial health.
All right, let's start with the profit and loss statement.
The P&L, the heart of any financial report.
Exactly. This is where we see how the revenue translates into profit, how they manage expenses, the whole picture.
Sounds good to me. Ready when you are.
So remember that 240,893 crore revenue figure.
Yeah, that's a hard one to forget.
Well, that translates to a pretty impressive profit margin.
Let's hear it.
24.6% operating margin.
Whoa, that's really healthy for every 100 they bring in.
24.6 pure profit before you factor in other expenses.
That's efficiency for you. So what's their secret sauce?
Focusing on high-value services. For one,
Like what?
digital transformation projects, big ones. And automation, they're all about streamlining.
Smart moves. Okay, let's move on to their balance sheet. What's the story there?
It's a snapshot of their financial health. Assets, liabilities, all that.
And what's standing out to you?
Net current assets. Basically, how much they have in the short term compared to what they owe.
Kind of like a financial cushion?
Exactly. TCS has a good amount, meaning they can easily meet their short-term obligations.
So they're not stretched thin, financially speaking.
Nope, they're in a good spot. And their investment portfolio is also worth noting.
They're investing.
Oh yeah, substantial investments. Adds to their financial strength.
So they're growing the business A&D building for the future.
That's the idea. Okay, ready to talk cash flow.
Hit me. Cash is king, after all.
You got it. TCS has strong cash flow from operations.
Ding.
They're generating real cash, not just profits on paper, thanks to their business model and their tight working capital management.
So they're not just sitting on a pile of cash, they're using it wisely.
Exactly. Reinvesting, paying dividends, building that strong foundation.
Okay, time for some financial ratios? Don't worry, I won't bore you with all the details.
Aha, I appreciate that. But ratios can tell a story if you know how to read them.
So which one's catching your eye?
Return on equity, or ROE for short.
ROE, that's about?
How well they're using shareholders' money to make a profit. And TCS has a great ROE.
High returns, happy investors. Makes sense. Okay, we've looked at their financials, but who are the people behind these numbers? Who's driving TCS's success?
Well, we talked about Tata Sons, the majority stakeholder.
Right, with that strong ethical backbone.
But on the management side, you've got N. Chandrasekaran as chairman, K. Krithivasan as CEO, and Samir Seksaria as CFO.
A solid leadership team.
Absolutely. Each one brings something different to the table.
Okay, but even with a great team, there are always risks. What's TCS facing?
Well, beyond the regulatory and IP risks we talked about, there's always the global economy to worry about.
Economic downturns, those can hurt any business.
Especially in IT. Companies tighten their budgets, IT spending often takes a hit.
So that's a constant concern.
Definitely. And then there's competition.
The IT industry is cutthroat, right?
You said it. TCS has to keep innovating, stay ahead of the game.
Can't afford to get complacent.
Nope. And then there are internal challenges, like employee turnover.
Attrition,
Yeah.
the bane of many companies.
Risk,
Right?
especially in tech, where everyone's fighting for talent. TCS needs to keep those employees happy.
Competitive salaries, good benefits, the whole package.
Exactly. Otherwise, those skilled workers will find somewhere else to go.
Okay, so external pressures from the economy and competition, internal challenges with talent. How are they tackling all this A&D planning for future growth? What's their investment strategy?
They're focusing on a few key areas, no surprise here. AI cloud is still a top priority.
They're all in on that, for sure. Building that generative AI expertise, developing those industry-specific solutions.
Exactly. That's their differentiator, what sets them apart.
Smart move. What else are they investing in?
Innovation and collaboration. TCS Pace, that's their platform for bringing together different players, like academics, startups.
Cross-pollination of ideas. I like it.
And then there's TCS Sequoia NTM, their startup engagement program, tapping into that startup energy.
Getting access to cutting-edge tech outside of their own walls.
Exactly. And they're also expanding their global footprint.
New offices, more delivery centers, getting closer to those clients.
Yep. Global reach is key in today's world.
So they're investing in tech, in talent, in global expansion. But how are they financing all this?
Well, their strong cash flow gives them a solid base.
Right, that cash from operations we talked about.
They can also explore debt financing if needed.
Borrowing money, basically.
Yeah, and they might even consider more share buybacks.
Which can boost shareholder value, right?
Exactly. They've got options thanks to their strong financial performance.
Okay, let's circle back to related party transactions. We know TCS is part of the Tata Group, So how much business are they doing with each other?
It's definitely something to keep an eye on. They do engage in various transactions with other Tata companies,
Like what?
IT services, obviously, hardware, software supply, leasing property, even sharing employees sometimes.
Kind of like a family affair, but on a corporate scale.
You could say that. It's not unusual for big conglomerates.
But how can we be sure these transactions are fair, above board?
Good question. TCS has a framework in place to ensure everything's transparent.
So, no funny business.
Nope. Arm's length transactions, that's the key.
Meaning?
Priced as if they were dealing with an outsider, no special favors.
That makes sense. So are these transactions clearly disclosed in the report?
Absolutely. There's a whole section dedicated to them.
Good. Transparency is key.
Uh,
Okay, let's talk valuation. How do you even begin to value a company as big and complex as TCS?
It's a combination of art and science, really. Analysts use a variety of methods.
Like what?
Discount and cash flow analysis, comparing them to similar companies, looking at past transactions. It's all part of the puzzle.
Sounds complicated.
It can be, but the goal is to get a realistic estimate of their intrinsic value.
What factors could impact that valuation going forward? What should investors be watching?
Their success with digital transformation deals, for one, those are big moneymakers.
Makes sense. And their AI expertise, how they keep pushing those boundaries.
Absolutely. And their commitment to sustainability, that's becoming more and more important to investors.
So it's not just about profits, it's about making a positive impact.
Exactly. TCS is a company with a vision, and that's resonating with investors.
Okay, time to shift gears and talk about something close to my heart. Social responsibility. TCS is doing some amazing things beyond just making money.
They are. Their commitment to giving back, to sustainability, it shines through in this report.
It's great to see a company putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah.
What are some of the initiatives that stood out to you?
Their work with the Musahar community in India really resonated with me.
Musahar community.
One of the most marginalized communities in India, facing poverty, illiteracy, the whole 9 yards.
And TCS is helping them how?
They partnered with an NGO to launch a literacy program, empowering thousands to read and write.
That's amazing, using their expertise to make a difference in people's lives.
And it's not just about individual communities. They're also supporting the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
The SDGs, those are big global goals.
Exactly. And TCS is contributing through their employee volunteer program, HOPE.
How so?
Employees dedicated 6.7 million hours to projects aligned with those goals.
Wow, 6.7 million hours. That's serious dedication.
It's incredible. Shows how much they care about making a positive impact.
They're not just talking the talk, they're walking the walk. What other initiatives caught your eye?
Their focus on STEM education is impressive. Their Go IT program has reached over 263,000 students globally.
Inspiring the next generation of tech leaders.
Exactly. It's all about building a better future, not just for TCS, but for everyone.
So we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. From their financials to their leadership to their social impact, we've seen what makes TCS tick. As we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
For me, it's their ability to connect the dots between business success, technological innovation, and making a positive impact on the world. They're proving that you can do well, A&D do good.
I totally agree. It's a powerful message and a great example for other companies to follow.
This deep dive is just a starting point. Now it's up to each of you to connect these insights to your own world.
What does TCS's journey, their focus on AI and social impact, mean for your own industry, your own career? That's the question I want our listeners to ponder.
It's a fascinating conversation and one that's just getting started. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep pushing the boundaries of what's possible.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of TCS.
My pleasure. It's always inspiring to explore companies that are making a real difference.
To our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep diving deeper. It's not just lip service either. They're putting real resources behind these initiatives.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about writing checks. They're getting involved, making a tangible impact.
Okay, so you mentioned the Musahar community. Tell me more about that.
So the Musahars, they're one of the most marginalized communities in India. Really tough situation, facing poverty, lack of education.
Heartbreaking.
It is. And TCS partnered with an NGO to launch a literacy program there.
Wow, so they're using their expertise to empower these people.
Exactly. Thousands of Musahar children and adults have learned to read and write thanks to this program.
That's amazing. They're giving them a chance at a better future.
And it goes beyond individual communities, too. TCS is a big supporter of the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
The SDGs, right? Those are pretty ambitious goals.
They are. But TCS is doing their part. Their employee volunteer program, HOPE, is a great example.
Tell me more about Hope.
Basically, employees volunteer their time to projects aligned with the SDGs.
So they're putting their skills to good use for a good cause.
Exactly. And get this, they've dedicated 6.7 million hours to these projects.
Whoa, 6.7 million. That's incredible.
Right.
Shows how much they believe in this.
It's not just a corporate mandate, it's a genuine commitment from the employees themselves.
Really inspiring to see.
Yeah.
What else is TCS doing in the social responsibility realm?
Well, they're also big on STEM education.
Science, technology, engineering, math. Super important these days.
Tell me about it. And TCS has this program called Go IT, specifically designed to get young people excited about STEM.
So they're planting the seeds for the next generation of innovators.
Exactly. They've reached over 263,000 students globally with this program. Pretty impressive, right?
Definitely. They're investing in the future, not just their own, but the future of the tech industry as a whole.
They get it's about the bigger picture.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive. Financials, leadership, AI strategy, social impact. We've seen it all. As we wrap up, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
TCS is more than just an IT company. They're a company with a conscience. They're using their success to make a positive impact on the world. That's something to be admired.
I couldn't agree more. They're proving that you can be profitable, A&D purpose-driven. It's a powerful message and a great example for other companies to follow.
Absolutely. This deep dive has given you a glimpse into their journey, but there's always more to learn.
That's right. So to our listeners, I'll leave you with this final thought. What does TCS's story mean for you?
What can you learn from their approach to AI, to sustainability, to social impact?
How can you apply those lessons to your own work, your own life?
It's a question worth pondering. Don't just take our word for it. Keep diving deeper. Keep exploring.
Great advice. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the world of TCS.
My pleasure. Always a good time talking about companies that are doing things right.
To our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep pushing the boundaries.